maybe even the first session that we did, our wonderful voice director was like, you can have a little bit of your personality here. Like, the narrator has a thought about why they're doing this or why.
I'm a huge fan. I mean, community fan for years. I've watched all the Talking Dead panels and Walking Dead panels as well. Such an honor to speak to you. Um, okay, let's start with the show. Um, which of the shapes would you say is Shirley most similar to?
Oh, that's tough. I think Shirley's a little bit of all of them because, Circle is very motherly, so that's definitely Shirley. Square is very serious and believes that things should be done in a certain way. That's also Shirley. And Shirley also has, she put her head through a jukebox, and that's kind of what Triangle would do. So I think that she's a little bit of all of them. I think mostly Shirley would want to be more like Circle.
Thank you for that. How did you come to be involved with this project, and when did you realize that? You had something special with Shape Island.
Well, the show is based on the Shapes books by Mac Barnett and John Klassen. So I've been a fan of the books for forever. Even have a piece of artwork in my house based on those shapes. So when the time came for them to do the show, and I heard that they were looking for a narrator, I'm like, please, oh please. And so then to get to do it and find out that the narrator is like this warm voice that walks through the journeys with them. So even though I'm not one of the shapes, I get to go on every adventure that they go on with them. It was just an amazing experience. So it was just an easy yes, a very easy yes.
In a lot of ways, the narrator is the fourth shape because she is not your typical Vincent Price kind of narrator. She has her own personality and everything.
Yes.
How did you develop this kind of animated narrator style?
It was really funny. I thought when I got the gig that it was going to be just straight narration. And then within the first couple of episodes, maybe even the first session that we did, our wonderful voice director was like, you can have a little bit of your personality here. Like, the narrator has a thought about why they're doing this or why Triangle did what he just did. So you can put that in. I was like, what? I said, well, okay. So then the more we went along, the more the narrator started to add her own thoughts about what they were doing. And I got to change the inflection a little bit so it wasn't just that typical narrator voice. And I think that's a lot of fun. And the first episode of our second season is the narrator's special episode. So I think you get a really good idea of how she moves through the world and what she thinks of the world. And it was a lot of fun to do that voiceover in particular.
And I would say you said that you got to add a little bit of your personality, but you are a comedic genius and you got to show a lot of that in this character. Do you think that the narrator has evolved over time and become a character in its own right?
Absolutely, I think she's evolved. And it's funny, I remember when I first started recording for Shape Island, I didn't know whether the shapes were aware of the narrator. And now I believe that they are. I believe that they are listening to her. They don't heed what she's suggesting because she's like, I don't think that's a good idea. And they're doing stuff anyway. So I don't know that they're heeding her advice, but I do think that she is a part of the world. And now I imagine that as they're doing what they're doing, that they could hear her. Like she's kind of like the voice of God in this space for them. And I think that's really sweet to imagine that I am more a part of the journey than even I imagined in the beginning.
How different is humor for a younger audience as compared to, there's a whodunit episode in the season that reminded me of the ass crack bandit in certain ways. But how different is it, showing your comedic chops to a younger audience maybe?
I think the only difference when I do a kids show is that I try to make sure that I enunciate really well and I'm very clear. Because I understand that they might be learning some of these ideas or seeing these ideas for the very first time, and I want to make sure that I introduce them to it in a way that they can follow. But other than that, I don't think that Shape Island is dumbed down at all or made to be less than. I think that adults and kids alike can watch it and get the same lessons. Now, adults have lived a little longer and they understand a little better why being kind to each other is important, or we can watch the show and go, ooh, that's not gonna work out. Ooh, what Circle's doing right there is not good. We know, we can see it coming, so we can see the lesson coming. and while kids are learning it in real time. I think that's really the only difference. But I think our show is for every age. Yeah.
Pretty cool. I don't think I have a lot of time left. But if Yvette Nicole Brown was, had to pick someone to narrate her life, which voice would you pick?
I think I would go with Viola Davis.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think Viola would be like, Yvette is walking out today, and I think she would really, either Viola or probably Felicia Rashad, one of the two. I think they would really have a interesting take on my life and be able to tell it in a way that I would be proud of.
Perfect. How would you sum up season 2 in one word, maybe?
Ooh, warm.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time.